All right, back for another beer review, and today I will once again be doing a comparison review, this time of two beers from the Ballast Point Brewing Company, and they're out of San Diego, California. And we have their Victory at Sea and their Peanut Butter Victory at Sea. So the base / regular Victory at Sea is an Imperial Porter that is brewed with coffee and vanilla, comes in at 10% alcohol by volume, 60 IBUs, and at the time of review, this bottle is just over 5 months old. Meanwhile, the Peanut Butter Victory Sea is the base beer, and then they also brew it with peanut butter, comes in at 10% alcohol by volume as well, but 65 IBUs, and at the time of review, this bottle is approximately 5 months old. So first, let's talk about the freshness of these beers. They're both around 5 months old. Is that ideal freshness to do a comparison review? Probably not, especially since coffee is involved, but I've had these beers for a couple months in my fridge, and I've been wanting to do a comparison review, so I was like, we're gonna do it. The key thing here for me, though, is that both of these beers were bottled within about 2 weeks of one another. Actually, I think it's exactly 12 days from one another. This one's a bit fresher. Like I said, around 5 months old. This is just over 5 months old. So we should be fine there. I know coffee doesn't age well, especially in beers, but if we're gonna do this, at least they're close in age. Also, I will say, full disclosure, I've had the base Victory at Sea before. I've had it fresh, I've had it 6 months old, and I've even had it a couple years old, and it ages quite well. The coffee does die off a bit, but I think at 5 months we should be relatively okay. The Peanut Butter Porter, or the Peanut Butter Victory at Sea, never had it before. I've seen a lot of my friends like this one, including some beer tubers. So I've always wanted to try this one out. I will say, though, if this is the first time you're watching a review of mine, peanut butter beers for me are very hit or miss. I have a love and hate relationship with them. I think aromatically, most peanut butter beers for me are amazing, but more often than not, they do not carry over in the taste. So I'm going to be curious to see how this one compares to the base version, but also how it is as just a peanut butter itself. So anyway, we're gonna crack these open. We're gonna do the Matt over at Massive Beer Reviews pour, the dual pour here. So I have not messed one of these up yet. I have done a pretty good job with them, in my opinion. I haven't, done anything crazy, spilling them everywhere or, just improperly producing ahead and whatnot, but there's always time for me to mess it up at some point, and today would be the perfect time. Anyway, labels out, let's give them pours. Okay, maybe not the best pours, but guess what? Didn't spill them anywhere, and they're pretty even, I would say. So, both beers like that, and yeah, so let's look at them in the glass. Definitely deep, dark brown beers, probably gonna come off as pitch black on camera. I poured this one, I think, a little bit more aggressively, the base one. So you're looking at about, on this side, for the peanut butter one, about a finger of a straight up, I'd say straight up light brown head. And same thing for this one, about a finger and a half. Yeah, very tightly compact, creamy looking beers. Yeah, they look very similar. Let's get a nose on the base one. Man, that smells so good. So, like I said, I've had this one plenty of times before. It's a great beer, but I love the nose on this. It's like having a cold brew coffee with like vanilla or something in it, or cold brew of vanilla coffee. Some roasted malts underneath it, some nice dark fruits too. Like sometimes you get like berry notes out of a really nice coffee, or sometimes darker fruit notes. And that's kind of what I'm getting in here, but it could just be the malts, not the coffee. Definitely big vanilla notes. Yeah, chocolate, coffee, vanilla, dark fruits, berry notes. It definitely smells like it's going to be sweeter, though. And that's what I remember about this one, even with the coffee and whatnot, and being a 10% beer. Definitely was quite sweet, probably from the vanilla, but also the fact that it's 10% and has a huge malt forward beer. Anyway, let's get a nose on the peanut butter one. Ooh, that's nice. Actually, to be honest with you, this has a very similar nose to the base one, just with like a touch of peanut butter. So this is coming off on the nose is more of like an authentic peanut butter. I'm not getting the big blast of like artificial peanut butter that you get a lot of times with peanut butter beers. Yeah, it's accentuating all the base characteristics. You're still getting that vanilla. The coffee's still there, although a bit lost in comparison to the base because of that added peanut butter, I believe. But yeah, it's still some dark fruits. This honestly has like a slight PB and jam. So peanut butter and jam vibe to this one. Kind of like I'm getting like a blueberry, raspberry kind of jamminess to it. I mean, I was getting more, I would say, just straight on dark fruits in this one with a little bit of the berry notes. But in this one, more berry. And with that peanut butter, it's almost like, I don't know. It's like you took, not straight Nutella, because Nutella is hazelnut, right? But like, you know, some kind of chocolate spread in addition to the peanut butter and jelly. Even with all that going on in the peanut butter one, I still think the base is a bit sweeter on the nose, but this one is more complex. I think I like them both evenly, but if I had to choose, I'm liking the peanut butter one a bit more. I think it has a more well-rounded like complexity. It has just more of a robust aroma to it. That's the best way I can explain it. Anyway, let's get into the base one. Cheers, everybody. Such a good beer. This is such a good beer. And man, I haven't bought this in a couple years. It's not as sweet as the nose perceived, and that's kind of what I remember about this beer. It, in the nose, has all that vanilla, sweeter chocolates, dark fruits, and then you get some of the coffee. In the taste, big roasted malt. There's definitely like an acidic, roasty coffee vibe to this one. Sweeter dark chocolate. More like a 40, 50, 60% cacao bar as opposed to a really, you know, dark chocolate that, you know, is more on full-on chocolate flavor and not the sweetness. That vanilla is there, but it's not as pronounced as it was in the nose. The body on this being an Imperial Porter, it is thin. But is it thin for the style or just in general? It's thin in general. For an Imperial Porter, probably appropriate. It's like higher side of medium body. Yeah, it definitely drinks more of to the porter side of things than a stout. The mouthfeel slightly smooth, slightly creamy. It's definitely carbonated, it lets you know. Finishes with a semi-dry finish. Definitely get a little bit of alcohol stringency on the back of the palate, but I'm not getting warming in the chest. I just have it on the palate. I'd probably guess this is like, you know, closer to 9%. Not quite 10, but it is noticeable in some ways. That's a really good beer. Man, if you've never had a Victory at Sea from Ballast Point, they pretty much distribute almost anywhere now because, you know, Constellation owns them. So if you've never had it, and I'd say give it a try. I forgot what the price on that is. I want to say it's like $3 a bottle, less than $3 a bottle. It's appropriately priced. Anyway, let's get a taste on the PB version. Cheers, everybody. Oh, wow. This is way creamier. Right off the bat, I can tell you the mouthfeel is way creamier. Yeah, it's a different beer, but it's not drastically different. There's slight differences. First off, the body is very similar. It's probably higher side of medium body. But the mouthfeel, like I said, it has more of a soft, smooth, and creamy profile, probably from that peanut butter. But yeah, it's really nice. Maybe not. Maybe they're using some kind of extract or something, and maybe it's just all in my dome piece, all in my mind. But it definitely has a creaminess to it that this one did not have. The taste is very similar, but everything's dialed back a little bit. There's still that, you know, pretty big coffee roast, a little bit of acidic coffee. The vanilla, much like this one, kind of dialed back. I do get a little bit of the peanut butter, but it's on the finish, and it's more of like a roasted peanut character. But the nose wasn't setting me up for disappointment in this review because the nose wasn't screaming straight on like Reese's peanut butter cups or, you know, just straight some kind of peanut butter dessert or something. It was just, had slight nuances, the peanut butter and the aroma. So it carried over pretty well, actually. Getting a little bit more of a warming into the chest with this one. Again, both of them are 10%. This has 5 more IBUs, but at 10%, they're, you know, I was expecting a little bit of chest warming. I'm starting to get that now. This is not as astringent, I guess, as far as the alcohol is on the palate. I can tell, but not as much as this one. Definitely, both of them have a semi-dry finish. Both of these beers are sweet up front, but they dry out nicely on the back end. And that dryness really helps with the drinkability because every time I go for a swig, I'm thinking, oh man, this is just going to be too sweet, and it's just going to be sweet, sweet, sweet. About 3/4 of the way through your palate, that dryness kicks in, a little bit of alcohol astringency, and with this one, a little bit of like roasted peanut character on the back of the palate. Really digging both these quite a bit, actually. Do I have a preference between the two is the question. You know what? No, I think they're both equally as enjoyable for me. I do wish there was a little bit more peanut butter in here and maybe more of like an authentic peanut butter as opposed to roasted peanuts. But I do like the enhanced creaminess of this one. I think this one has, I didn't even mention like the dark fruits in this. The dark fruits get kind of lost in the taste, honestly, for both of them. That PB and jam thing I was getting in this one, not really, didn't carry over. And the dark fruits in here, maybe a little bit of a berry in here. I think I'd like them both equally. If I had to choose one, I think I would slightly lean towards the peanut butter one because of that added creaminess, but they're both quite delicious in my opinion. So ratings for both the Victory at Sea and the peanut butter Victory at Sea, I'm gonna give them like a low 4.25. I'd say like 4.15, 4.1, something like that. This one aged and fresh, probably a straight on 4.25, and haven't had this one fresh or aged past the 5 months it's at right now. But both of these are quite delicious. I'd say around 4.15 to 4.25 for both of them. If you haven't had either of them, check them out. And I would highly recommend doing a side-by-side like this. This is a lot of fun. I wish I had more variants, or I might grab more variants and do side-by-sides, because this is cool to see the base beer and then see how the base beer with an adjunct added, how it changes the beer. It didn't change it a lot, but changed it enough to be, unique on its own. Now it's time for the cuvee, aka the covey. Let's pour, wait, I'm gonna pour the peanut butter into the regular. I don't know, does it matter? Not really, let's go. So every time, everybody likes the cuvies, If you've never checked out Don't Drink Beer, he's the guy that pretty much says covey, the way he does, I gotta do a covey. And I just always say it like that instead of cuvee, because it's way more fun. Anyway, let's get a nose. Let me cleanse the palate first again. All right. I realized I didn't even talk about the nose. The nose, wow, that's really good. I don't know. The nose isn't, it's kind of subdued actually. Getting some vanilla, a little bit of the PB, a little bit of the coffee, but yeah, kind of killed the intensity of the nose. Anyway, go back for another sip. That's where it's at. Holy shit, is that good. Getting the PB and the creaminess, but I'm getting more vanilla and more coffee somehow in the taste. Not sure how that's happening. A little bit of that dark fruit and berry jamminess. Yeah, wow. I did not think that would really do a whole lot, considering they're pretty much the same beer, which is with peanut butter added, but I like the cuvee. The cuvee is a little bit better. I'd give the cuvee like definitely a 4.25, maybe like a 4.3, 4.35. The cuvee is the way to go. So if you do this side by side, mix them together, maybe not the entire bottles, but maybe leave like 3 or 4 ounces of each and do a little bit of a cuvee and see what you think. But that cuvee is fucking delicious. Anyway, so yeah, 4.25 for both, or I guess a 4.15 into a 4.25, regardless. I talk about ratings a lot, but at the end of the day, I always say, if you're watching my channel and you see my rating, don't put too much stock into it. It's my personal rating. Your rating is going to be different, and ratings in general really don't mean anything. Unless it's the person rating it. That's the only person that matters in that situation. So don't put too much stock in it. Hopefully I do a good enough job explaining myself, whether I like the beer or I don't, and how much I like it and how much I don't like it. And then you can gather, some information. That's the whole point about this. I watch beer reviews. I'm going on a tangent here, but I watch beer reviews to kind of get other people's opinions and just see what they think about it. It doesn't influence my own opinion really at all. I just like to use it as a resource of anybody else, just like anybody else, and any other site like Untapped or Beer Advocate or wherever. It's a nice resource to have. Anyway, tangent is over. Appreciate you guys stopping by for this comparison review. It was a lot of fun. If you've had either of these beers, post in the comment section. I'd like to hear your opinion on both of these. And if you've done a side-by-side, let me know what you think as well. Anyway, appreciate you guys stopping by for another review. And until the next one, hopefully you're enjoying cuvee, because that's the only way to live. Cheers.